I just have the best feeling about this. Hello friends, welcome back to Francesca's Books. My name is Francesca, these are my books, and here we talk about all things thriller books, and today we are starting a 24-hour reading vlog. I am so excited for this because I've not had as much time this month to read as I normally have, so you best believe 2 full days set aside to read thriller books. We're going to be in our element. And the best part is I'm going to completely mood read. I don't even have a TBR going into this video. And even better than that, I'm already halfway through a book. So we're going to get like the most out of this vlog possible. But before we dive in, I don't know why my hair is so fluffy today, so we're just going to have to roll with it. Despite what I said 5 seconds ago, I don't have a TBR, but I do have a couple of books that are locked in that I think I might read, but I'm not going to run you through a whole TBR at the start of this video because they could very much change. I also liked last time when I did this, I read so many good books, like a record number of 5 and 4.5 star books, so I think mood reading is the way to go. But the couple of books that I think I might get to are Dear Debbie by Frida McFadden, because I've been sent an advance copy of this and I just know she's going to be a fast-paced queen, and also The Guest List by Lucy Foley, because I've been putting this off as there is a small character pool and it's a murder mystery setting, and I feel like those are best consumed in one go. So the book I've already started and will finish probably within the next hour is A Stranger in Her House by Shari Lapina. I've been trying to make my way through this author's backlist for so long, and I kind of took a pause a couple of months ago because I was just having too much of them, which meant that they weren't really hitting the same, and I was like, I'm not doing this author justice by doing it like this, but we're back. This is the penultimate Shari Lapina I have to read. After this, I only have The End of Her. And in this, we have our female main character, Karen, who was involved in a very serious car crash after leaving home unexpectedly. She doesn't know why, she has no memories of why, and crashes into this tree, I don't know, like a 1-car involved accident, and she wakes up in hospital. She has absolutely no idea what's going on. Understandably, her husband's a bit like, why were you speeding? Why were you in this part of town? Why didn't you let me know where you were going? This is a little bit sus. And then we also have another point of view of Bridget, who is Karen's best friend, who's also acting a little bit sus in my opinion. Like, there's been there for your friends and then there's been overly involved. This book did take a little while to get going. However, I do think it's one of the easiest to read Shari Lapina's that I've read. I think because of the small character pool mainly. And also typically in this author style, we do have some detective characters, but it's definitely not a detective book. They are more side characters. I actually am really enjoying this one. I feel like the last 100 pages is going to be a make or break because we've had a lot of setup, a few twists already, which I was very grateful for because I love a midway through plot twist. Just keeps me alive. I do think how this ends is going to be a huge factor into whether I would recommend this highly on her backlist or not. So without further ado, let's read. We're only 40 minutes in, but I do have an update because I only have around 10% left of this book, so I'm on page 240, and this has just played out in a narrative that I expected. I've still not got to this moment where I'm like, this is something special, but it has been a very easy book to read. Like, I am absolutely flying through it. I don't know whether it's because it's on Kindle or whether it's actually this author's writing style, but either way, it's starting to like really pick up pace, but not until this like 85% mark. In my opinion, from the beginning, there's been quite an obvious way that this should go, and it's still following that path. I'm kind of like, give me something else. So I'm actually going to go to a coffee shop this morning and read. I'm in the mood for some people around me. Sometimes I'm fine to read in the silence, and then today I thought I would see what happens, and we're going to get coffee. And since I don't have much left of this book, I'm going to bring another couple to potentially start while we're there. Also guys, my TikTok highly commended award sitting pride of place. I'm still genuinely in shock about this. It's so cold. So we finished A Stranger in the House by Shari LaPena. This is now the first book complete of the 24-hour readathon, but of course I did kind of cheat because I was already halfway through. As you guys saw, the pace was definitely building around like the 75%, 80 mark, and I did enjoy that like really quick build of tension. But overall, I just like this. I didn't love it. I don't think it added anything really fresh into the domestic thriller space. It also kind of gave domestic noir as opposed to through and through thriller. And that's maybe being unfair, but I think because of some of the really intense thrillers I've read recently, this one just didn't have that same feel. But also for me personally was no twist. Like there were twists, but ones that were so obvious, I feel like even casual thriller readers would probably think, oh yeah, that might be where it's going to go, which isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes when there's no twist, it doesn't matter because the rest of the story is so creatively written. You're not really there for the twist, you're there for the emotion and human connection behind it. But with this one specifically, it didn't work. Also, the reviews for this were really, really good. When I first started reading it, I was quite excited because I thought this might be a Shari LaPena that's going to rank quite highly for me. And I think I'm just missing something. I think this one is a me thing, honestly. I'm trying to justify it to you guys, but I think I might just not have clicked with this story specifically. I'm also not going to comment any more on the characters because this had such a small character pool. I feel like I can't really say anything else without giving away the entirety of this plot. This is probably the smallest character pool in a book I've read in a very, very long time. I think we had like 4 main characters. That's it. And 2 of them were the main couple. The best way I can describe this book is, do you remember when you were younger and you'd have a little flower and you'd pick off the petals and you'd be like, love me not, love me not. That's this book with a slight edge, okay? And on that bombshell, I did indeed choose our next book while I was still getting coffee. I thought I would get a little head start until I head home for the rest of the day. And it is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. And quite honestly, it's criminal that I've never read this book. And I was so keen to read this during a 24-hour readathon so I could like absolutely inhale it and just consume every single character. Because murder mystery stories like this sometimes can get a little bit confusing if you dip in and out of them because there tends to be like 5 or 6 suspects that you need to really like get behind and get in your head. So the concept of this is a really exclusive wedding on this tiny island off of Ireland, but it's very locked room mystery. So I have a feeling there's going to be some sort of storm where nobody can get on or off the island. That tends to be what happens, but I'm just here for that. I really am. The vibes of the cover and the overall locked room vibes are kind of giving Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, but of course with a completely different setup. So far, as you guys saw, I introduced you with the little chapter headings of each character. So we're getting 5 points of view, which I think is okay to keep up with, especially since those characters are in the other people's points of view as well. They're not just like 5 independent points of view. So far, no one has been unalived. I'm here, I'm waiting for it. I am ready for the unaliving to begin. Also, before anyone questions why I'm wearing jeans to do this readathon, if I was not, I would fall asleep. The second it gets dark outside, I will be putting pajamas on and I just know it's going to be snooze time. I have no willpower. Is it dark enough for pajamas yet? I think so. I fell asleep. But at least I'm self-aware about it. I knew exactly what was going to happen and now I feel rested. I only slept for half an hour, so we're still in a good place. So I'm 100 pages in, we still don't know who's been unalived. I have a feeling it's going to be the bride because she's obviously the most important person on the day. So my bets are on her. She's also kind of insufferable, so definitely should be on her. She has a guy best friend who is there with his wife and then they're acting really suspicious and not really speaking to anyone else. Personally, that would irk me. And then they're just sat flirting openly in front of everybody, including her husband-to-be and his wife and the whole like ushers and bridesmaids and everything. So I hope it's the bride or the best friend, either of them at this point. I'm also really liking the different points of view. They're super easy to follow. I was a little bit skeptical, but I'm having no issues keeping up with who's who. I'm also really liking the bride's half-sister. She's a bit younger, so we're getting a different point of view from her than we are everybody else who's in their 30s. And I kind of like her story. I'm enjoying it. So overall so far, good setup, definitely faster paced than The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley, which was released recently and I just really did not get on with. I was really hoping that I would like this because I love the Paris apartment, but because The Midnight Feast was such a flop, it honestly could have gone either way. I'm going to listen to my audiobook for a little while. I am 40% in, which I think is quite good, but I'm going to get some stuff done. I can't look at a page anymore for the next hour. Good morning, friends. We have 9 hours, 12 minutes left on the timer, and I have to update you on this book because this is all I have left. A tiny little bit. So last night when I was reading, about 250 pages in, I just had this realisation that nothing really thrillery had happened yet. And it's not that I was getting bored, but as a thriller girl through and through, I was like, when is somebody gonna be? Or when is something more than like family drama gonna happen? But I do think that is definitely a preference in my thriller books. Understanding what's happened and then working out why, as opposed to being like, I wonder what's going to happen for the entire book. But I will say there were so many weird dynamics in this, so many family unsettlements that are definitely going to come to fruition by the end of the book, and I think this one will wrap up really nicely. It's just until that point, even before we know who's been unalived, there has been a few plot twist moments of like genuine, oh, I actually didn't see that coming, which have been really good, but they are still very much like family issues. Also, I take back everything I said about our bride. She's a diva. I love her. She is super cool, and as she should. And finally, before I do read the last few pages, there is a huge trigger warning for self-harm in this book. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, I'm gonna make some coffee and collect my thoughts. Does anyone else literally just not feel awake until they've had their coffee? Just me? Okay. So, thoughts collected. I am obsessed with the person that was unalived. I feel like that was absolutely the right choice. What's frustrating is we didn't get this until very close to the end. Like, anywhere earlier to give us some action. Anywhere earlier. I know it's the thriller girly in me, but just a little bit of unaliving, please. But there were so many people who could have had motive in this situation, so it absolutely made sense. But also a lot of the motivations we didn't realise until the end. The person who did the unaliving, I'm also very, very happy with. It was a satisfying conclusion, I won't lie. Everybody did definitely get what they deserved. I also really like the setting. I could really picture this. It's so cold today outside. I'll show you in a minute. There's actually frost on the ground. So the fact we were in a really isolated setting and there was a storm and everybody was like cold from going outside, this worked very, very well. However, I would not describe this as a thriller book in any sense of the word. It was definitely a mystery. I would almost call it a cozy mystery. Genuinely. I think the fact that it was a Reese's Book Club pick is quite telling, because I don't think that area of the world would ever choose something that was so gritty and dark. It would always be a more surface level murder mystery type thriller, in my opinion. And finally, if I didn't read this in one sitting, I would have got bored 100%. I knew what I was doing with this. I think from the get-go, I knew this would be best consumed in one sitting. If you are going to pick this up or want something maybe lighter in between your darker thrillers, I would definitely recommend the same, or even like over a weekend or a few days, just not one that you can really dip in and out of, or you won't feel the full effect of it. So I was going to land on a 3.5, and now I've explained all of those things, I think it's more like a 3. But then A Stranger in a House, I never gave my final star rating for, and that was going to be a 3, but I did prefer the guest list. So let me stew a little bit more. This is the problem with the rating scale only being out of 5. It's so hard to actually place books appropriately when you've read so many. Also feel like I'm giving you a full tour of my house in this vlog. This is the kitchen, as you guys can probably guess. I do have a sofa in my kitchen. I don't know why. So it's time to choose the next book. I've read so much Frida recently, and also just published a video on all 25 of her books ranked from start to finish. So I feel like I'm on a bit of a Frida overload. So maybe if I get through the next book, then we can get to it. I don't know. So the next book I'm going to read is All Eyes on Him by Ileana Zander, and as I am filming this is literally released today, so this will be a hot off the press take on this one. This author also wrote Love Mum, which I actually read in my last 24-hour reading vlog and was a huge success. I rated it 5 stars. It was perfect to set the tone off strong, and I just really liked it. It was such a simple, easy to read book with some shocking twists, like Everything I personally would want from a psychological thriller. So I've been very excited to give this one a try. And in this, we're following our female main character, Natalie, who has gone out with her friend Cara to a nightclub, and she leaves with some guy and thinks, let her have her fun. But actually, the next time Natalie sees Cara, she's unconscious in a hospital bed. So as you would, as a committed friend, she puts her life and soul into trying to work out exactly what's happened. And that is when she recognises him from being Man of the Year. So she delves into his past. I hope she gets the revenge this character deserves. Not even started reading and I'm already here for it. This author definitely tends to write thrillers with not romantic subplots in a wholesome sense, just the dynamics of relationships feed into her thrillers, which I really, really like. I'm not sure why I've come back to my formal seat to address you, but I've read so much of this book so quickly, I feel like I needed a debrief before I just kept squirreling away with it. Okay, so I'm maybe just over halfway through, and so far this feels very different to Love Mum. I wasn't expecting like exactly the same, but I'm not sure I would choose these two books in a lineup to have been written by the same author. The story's also pivoted in a very different direction than I thought it was going to go from the synopsis, which is not always a bad thing, but we're very much on the premises of this guy she thinks had some part in putting her friend in this coma, so she's investigating him, but the majority of it has so far been set at his mansion. I think is interesting. I will say as well, there are a couple of very similar sounding names in this book. So we have Cara and Darla, who are in a very similar situation, and if you're listening to that on quite high speed, like I tend to, that's kind of confusing. And speaking of audio, okay, so we're getting Natalie's perspective. Of course, she's our female main character, she's the one doing the digging, but we're also very occasionally getting chapters from Anonymous, and I have absolutely no clue who this is, and they're doing it intentionally to throw you off because you think you know who it is, and then they say something, you're like, oh, it can't be that character then. However, on the audio, okay, I can't take it seriously. I'm not saying the audio is bad, but it's just hilarious. It's so funny. It's like, Natalie. It's like, Natalie, I thought I liked you, and now I do not. Word for word, like that. It's also very much leaning into the rich people drama side of things. Like every single one of these characters has money, basically. So I do kind of like it because then money's not a problem in terms of like the chaos and destruction that they can get up to. But that is just my personal taste. So I don't have my iPad with me, but I do think we have a good few hours left still. So I've just come to Tesco to get some snacks to finish this book. There has been one really, really good plot twist, but I did kind of see it coming like a couple of chapters before, but until that point I hadn't. So I'm still impressed. It is literally so dark and it's only 5:30. We are doing with this what we can. The last 24-hour reading vlog I did, it was kind of summer, like just coming out of summer, but it was light everywhere. It was good vibes. But anyway, we do love winter. However, what I've come to show you is, did anyone else know that you could buy, you know, the Cadbury's like chocolate mousses that have like half buttons or half flake or whatever? Did you know you could just buy the chocolate mousse in a sharing portion? Because I didn't until just now. So you best believe I got this and some strawberries and a twirl to go with it. Make a nice little dessert for myself. So we are finished and I'm here to tell you what I thought of All Eyes on Him by Ileana Zander. But towards the end of my timer, I'm not gonna lie, I did crash out a little bit. It's so hard to read for 24 hours pretty much straight. Like you're losing your mind by the end. So was I like in and out of this book? Was I half reading it, half scrolling? Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was. Therefore, the fact I've only read 2.5 books in this reading vlog to me is quite shocking considering last time I read 3.5, an entire other book. But you know, we can't win them all, guys. Sometimes you're just not set up for success, and this was one of those times. So, All Eyes on Him. I have such mixed feelings about this because on the one hand, it was super easy to read. There was some good plot twists that I personally was kind of like, I think that may happen. But also if you weren't such a seasoned thriller reader and you read books, you know, not so intensely like I do, you probably wouldn't see them coming and you would have a really good time. I would say I would compare this author specifically, now I've read 2 of her books, very much a Freida McFadden. She really does write the plot twist for the wow factor, and all of the plot for that matter. I feel like her stories are very much more plot focused than character focused, which normally would work for me, but I think I've been reading so much of this recently, it might not even be this author's fault at this point. And I will say the final twist was quite good. I didn't see the actual final reveal coming, so I was kind of satisfied with that. So overall, I would recommend it. This is the best book that I think I've read in this reading vlog, but it's still not 5-star material, which is what I'm going for at this point. We've got to aim high, guys. So I'm going to give this a 4-star. It was a solid thriller, but very easy to read, and you would have to suspend belief in terms of the goings on. So to recap, we read A Stranger in the House by Shari LaPenna, and I gave this 3 stars. It was a solid domestic thriller, nothing wow about it whatsoever. Good writing, good plot, but just been done quite a few times. Then we read my very highly anticipated The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and this was again just okay. I don't know what's happened recently, guys. I did like this more than A Stranger in the House, but not by loads. It very much felt like a murder mystery. In fact, I would err into the side of mystery. You didn't even know who was being unalived or what the problem was until near the end of the book. But if you like your thrillers less gritty, you would probably enjoy this one. So I ended up giving this 3.5. I think the writing was good, but the actual topics is probably a me problem for picking it up. And then finally, All Eyes on Him by Ileana Zander. I've just gone into my full thoughts, so we'll not go through that again, but we're gonna give this 4 stars. So that is the end of my 24-hour reading vlog. I feel like next time I need to like lock in terms of my setting. I feel like I was kind of here, there and everywhere a little bit in this vlog, but I still read some good books, and at least you guys know which ones to reach for now and which ones not to. So if you aren't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any videos, and I cannot wait to see you soon.